had initiated the reunion call and sometimes feel divided. Did I really need closure? Or was it cultural, familial, or societal pressure that makes you believe you'll regret not talking to your deadbeat dad before he's actually dead? To be honest, I was curious and still in a cloud of wonder and grief. What if there was a world where my dad did love me? After all, I thought I loved myself. Thus, I prepared for the reunion by doing the one thing every Zellennial does when they are about to meet a boomer: people search them. Why is a generation raised on social media do we social stalk? Never mind. I know why. Within seconds, I found the entire life my father was having without me, and man, could we both hold a fake smile. Yet I found something interesting. My dad was a man of multiples, multiple lives, multiple identities, multiple accounts, multiple families, and multiple masks. My dad was a moving multiplication table, but the question was, did everybody know everything about him, including how just one change of a letter in his name opened a door to more secrets, more shadows? One of the reasons I call myself Hadim is because it came in a dream, like Daddy Recovery. Every night I pray to God for direction, love, clarity, and He delivers. I mean, I have done things that I would have never thought. I'm pretty chill. And let me tell you, the Lord pusheth. Yes, I am that girl that asks the universe for signs, of which every day I see angel number 777. So I definitely know heaven is watching me and encouraging me. At the time, I was having a hard time picking an artist name because I wanted so eagerly, so desperately to be genuinely Deandra. In the dream, I was in a garden, and they said, "You shall call yourself Hadin, because your life is a garden." I love the concept because I love flowers and the beauty of a garden and how much variation you can plant, just like in life. The interesting part of the dream was that Hadin was not spelled with a J, it was spelled with an H. And my dad's name, he changed it from J to H. A total reflection how, in some ways, my child abuse was what birthed me as an artist. The funny thing about my father's selective changes on addresses and names he would use is that he used it to embrace what I most feared: owning myself. I cannot find my artist name because she would be the version of me that embraces her life fearlessly. But my father did not mind changing names to embrace his shadows fearlessly. In some ways, the difference between a con and an artist is how they associate identity as their chosen authenticity. But unlike my dad, signing documents as a different name felt off to me. Was I losing or gaining me by becoming now Mrs. H? When I met my dad, I wanted to ask him about all the J's I found in association to his name. But I did not know how he would feel about me noticing potential red flags. As a child, it would anger him. When I was a little girl, it was pretty known, at least rumored, amidst my father's family that he committed fraud in every way. And he did. He was disbarred. It is a huge red flag when someone only wants, carries, and loves wads of cash, because it is usually an indication that they are not filing their taxes correctly, which my father had claimed he did. When he threatened my mother with after she said she wanted to take him to court for child support, he would say, "You're going to get nothing because I keep everything in cash." He said that. Yet his sisters definitely said it was true. Yet does it sound strange that what bothered me was not the crime as much as the cover up? When my father lost $10,000 and my aunt told me because he had promised to give me a stipend for college, but then claimed he was broke, he was pissed at her. We are at a damn mall again, and he was buying for himself, and I told him about this truth, of which he said she had no business telling me that. To be frank, it was nice to have somebody on his side of the family have my side and try to protect me. Yet, what he took badly was really just a door to something I wanted from him: truth, authenticity. Thus, I tested the waters in our reunion. We were sitting eating this salmon bruschetta when I asked if he had gone to Puerto Rico. Very dramatically, he said, "No, I've not been since I was with your mom. Holds too many painful memories of how happy we were." I was stunned by this response because I did not know if he wanted me to be moved or if he did not check that his Facebook had pictures of him in Puerto Rico the last year with his grandkids. And right there I knew Mr. H was not going to tell me about Mr. J. All right, let's discuss, let's heal. So I, my father never knew how much I knew about him. And I've talked about it. My father never treated me like his child, never treated me like a little girl, always treated me like an ex. And when I look back at how much he lied to me and how malicious he was, when I told him about the $10,000, he smirked, and he had a very devilish smirk, like when he was caught. And then he just said, she shouldn't have told you. And, he tried to gaslight me. But she told me because he promised he was going to get me books. That was the big thing. He promised he was going to give me a stipend. My father always promised me money. But if he ever gave me money, it was like giving $20 to a hooker, like just like here, dirty. And what's my problem is this is a man who had multiple families, multiple women, multiple accounts, multiple identities. The fact, and he was giving, he just wasn't giving to me. And it's kind of like that movie, He's Just Not That Into You, except it's my father. And there's this scene where the character's at the bar, like, if he doesn't call you, it's because he doesn't want to call you. If he doesn't want to hang out with you, it's because he doesn't want to hang out with you. If he doesn't want to give you money, it's because he doesn't want to give you money. And my father had a lot of excuses, but what was worse about him, what was really cruel, was the plotting. He would get my hopes up to crash it and then say that I was deluded. But I remembered every single word, everything, because you can't trust an addict when it comes to truth. And man, was I recording, was I filing. And I called him because I was delusional. And maybe I didn't have as much closure because when people pressure you, you don't do it. And that's the thing about my dad that he taught me so much. People do what they want. And I guess there was this part of me that really wanted to know, did my dad ever become a good guy, or could he become a good guy to me? Could he give me the good mask, right? Because one of the arguments I have with Daddy Recovery that I think is in reflection to my relationship with my dad and the parts of me that are like him is I I wrote a song recently about how in all of my relationships there were two people, but both of them were in love with one person. And I what I wanted to say with that was I never felt in my relationships like I truly loved me. I just loved how I was being loved, or I loved the person. And that was my dad loved being loved. And whether or not you genuinely love people or you genuinely love how they love you, that's the discrepancy, right? And he literally told me, I don't love you. And I swear it was like, do you know, you ever watch that movie where the girl has like the breakdown and she's like, just tell me the truth. Tell me, are you cheating? And it's like, honey, you've got the proof. He's cheating. He's not, he don't care. He don't, just tell me, why are you lying? But it is that kind of obsession with why are you lying? And I don't know if it's that maybe I thought if he told me the truth, we could work out. Because when I found out about the J, right? Mr. J, which was his initial, and kind of all these weird things associated with him, I was going to ask him, hey, because typical me, I have to be really casually curious. Like, hey, I just found this. I was social stalking you and I noticed this one, you know? Um, and I think it was just I didn't know how to accept that you think the pressure is to call your dad because you expect since he's older and sickly he's going to die, and there's this myth that you're going to feel so bad he's going to die without seeing you or talking to you. And the truth is I was already dead to him. I was the one who was dead to him. And it made me feel so bad for all the love I gave my dad. I told my dad I forgive you. I told my dad that I thought all the things I liked about him, which were superficial. We share the same taste in movies. But I really made an effort to make him feel good and make myself think that things as banal as the final season of Succession was proof that he was a good person, and he thought I was trash. I asked him to bring me some coffee, and he put open coffee in a plastic bag and gave it to me. I mean, he thought low, low, low of me. And what always amazed me was like I knew everything, and I never confronted him. I mean, I did when I told him about the 10,000 because I knew I didn't tell him about Jay, the Jay stuff, or that I knew that he had gone to Puerto Rico with his grandkids, because I just knew he would dismiss it. And this was our reunion. And this was when he said that about my mother, kind of like she was the love of my life and I can't go back there because I remember it. I'm like, okay, Joji, we don't need another rendition of Glimpse of Us. We get it. But what I've made me suspicious is, why are you saying that when I know you have others? Why are you saying that? Do you know what I mean? Like, why are you saying these things? Like you actually loved her. And then it made me, why am I thinking you actually love me if you did go to Puerto Rico with your grandkids? Like it was this weird moment of Sherlock Holmesing in my head of, oh, we're lying again. And if we're lying again, are we ever going to tell me the truth? And I let it go. I let it go. Because it was also like, what am I going to tell my dad? Hey, I know you use, um, you possibly use alternate names. Come on now, I'm not going to do that. What was it? It was going to end up like the 10,000. So I fished by saying about the Puerto Rico, and he lied, and he lied weirdly, and it broke my heart, because one of the things that Daddy Recovery is helping me recover is like, I had no chance with the father I got. He was way too malicious with me from birth. And my mother, very tragically, and I'm going to write about it, asked me a few weeks ago, did you think your father loved me? And I told her, absolutely not. I think he hated you. I think he thought you were disgusting. And let me tell you something. My mother was shocked because I'm not that brutish. You see me in Daddy Recovery. I'm even showing compassion towards my dad. You know what I mean? I'm really just trying to heal. And she was so hurt. But it's this kind of like, if they lie to you, do they love you? If they hide money from you when they know you're in need, do they love you? If he knows he owes child support, but he takes you to the mall to buy himself Salvatore Ferragamo, does he love you? When he says, forgets your age, does he love you? And what's so sad is that I had called my dad before our reunion and said, I forgive you. And I cried because I felt it. And I was, and the entire time, in a relationship with me. And I feel so dumb sometimes. So dumb. Because all my virtues, all my vulnerability were wasted. It was like putting my heart in a vacuum and really thinking it wasn't going to suck it. So when I say my dad is incapable of loving, I don't mean it in a harsh way. I mean, I usually say it with, I just don't feel, when you're always lying and you're always anxious and you're always scared and you're always manipulating and you're always scamming, that you actually can know love, because love is truth. And you might even, I think he resented my mother for not only finding out the truth, but being disgusted with him. But he abused her. So that's where I'm like, you're not the victim. But in his head, he was always going to be that. Not the victim to his choices, the victim to others' reactions. And I gave him the best reactions, because honestly, if he admitted everything, I think he thought if he admitted everything, all his crimes to me, he would have to give me money. And I swear to you, I just wanted his heart. I really did. Isn't that wild? That's what I'm saying. It's like those toxic moments in movies where the girl is like, just tell me the truth. He is. But I guess there's this delusion in your head that one day, if you, if you heard from his mouth, yes, I cheat. Yes, I scam. Yes, I change my names and identities and I con. Yes, I do that. Is it really, like, would that admittance actually free you? And I think that's what my family defined as closure. they were very selective because my father was always calling my aunt for brujeria and advice, which is also one of the reasons that I'm terrified of him. I'm sure his mother, my grandmother, was really big into brujeria, and he would often call her, despite whatever judgment or vitriol he had for her, to do little magic for him. And sometimes I wonder, would he ever do that to me? Because that's how much he hated me. I feel like he would call his mom and say, "Could you do something to Deandra?" I really do. That's how horrible he was towards me. That's how horrible he viewed me. And the whole time, man, if that guy prayed for love, he never got it because it was in me. It came in the form of me. That's why I think when I prayed, I mentioned the dream about Hadadin and Daddy Recovery because they came to me in dreams. And I don't know if people believe in that, but I believe in God and I love God. And I'm trying to reconcile my relationship with Him, especially because my father swore because he got so much money that God loved him. But I mean, we all know who's the material one, right? The guy with the horns, am I right? And I'm not saying that God doesn't love the rich or God doesn't give you money or any of that, but I don't think God just doesn't support harming people, right? To get it. And I was really scared to, I couldn't pick an artist's name for my life. And I just didn't know how I felt about it because my entire life I've worked a little too hard and been a little too obsessive with the concept of authenticity. Like I have to be Deandra and I have to be me and I have to be real and I have to be open and I have to be honest all the time 24/7. And I think that's what fascinated my dad because your abusers are always fascinated with you in some ways. A narcissist will always love an empath, and I am pure empath and he was pure narcissist, and I think we were fascinated by each other. I was fascinated by his inability to love as he was fascinated by my ability to love, even through all the stuff that we put each other through. Like I told him, I forgive you 20 million times and he never told me sorry once. And I just couldn't land on an artist name for my life. And when I saw, like, in this vision, whether you believe it or not, or it's your subconscious, it's still pretty powerful and beautiful. Haradin, and they said, your life is like a garden. And it was this beautiful concept of everything in your life is phases. You're going to go through rows of sunflowers and rows of thorns, and you're going to have weeds and you're going to have daffodils, and it's just so great. But what I noticed was my father's name started with a J, but he changed it to H. And when I did the people search, I noticed that he was using sometimes his old names. And I thought, why am I going to tell this guy what I know if he's going to dismiss it or get scared of me when I really want him to love me? But I felt so much shame. My dad really, really, really mistreated me. Like he abused me. And I don't know why I thought telling him I know everything about you, I know everything you do, but I love you, would actually make him love me. There was this part of me that really thought, because he wore so many masks, if I ripped them all off, he would think, wow, this kid cares. Despite all the abuse, despite all the lies, she wants to see the real me. But the real him was the mask. I always say, even the choice to be fake is a real choice. He was showing me who he was. And maybe I just couldn't, not maybe, I still have a hard time accepting how cold my father was, how cold he was towards me, how abusive he was to my mother and me, how he swore he loved her. I just can't believe it. If that's love, then I pray we all end up alone. I pray no one finds it. Um, but yeah, check out daddyrecovery.com for my stories, and I hope you heal, and I hope through my healing you do too, because at At the end of the day, my father only replicated the experiences he had with others. He had a horrible dad, he had a painful mom, and he became both towards me. So I don't want to do the same to someone else. No way. Subscribe.